Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here again with a cool new knife comparison video. I really enjoy doing these comparison videos because I think that it sort of helps people to understand the small differences between some similar knives. I've tried to compare very similar knives, and today we have two very similar knives, so similar that they even share most of a name. So in front of us are two examples of the zero tolerance 0392 series. So we've got the 0392WC, which stands for Wharncliffe, and we have the 0392 BRN GLD. I have reviewed this knife on my channel in the past. If you are interested in learning more of the details about this knife in particular, you can check out the review that I did on this. But I wanted to do a comparison on these knives because I'm about to send this knife off to my good friend in Greece. And I wanted to sort of discuss their finer points and then compare them in terms of their everyday carry ability. So if you watch the video from the 0392 here, the BRN GLD, you'll know that this is my favorite knife. This is my favorite knife that I own. And it is going to be really tough to displace that from my favorite position. Mostly because this thing fulfills all of the needs that I have in terms of an everyday knife. It is very heavy duty. It's very well built, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it functions beautifully. It really flips well. It retracts well. It's unbelievably smooth. And I really enjoy the blade shape. I think that that is a very functional blade shape. Quick overview on the Wharncliffe edition. So we've got the same handle, but we've got obviously this stellar and aggressive looking Wharncliffe blade. Really cool looking. This is totally different than any Hinderer or any other 0392 that had come before. So really awesome knife here. So what is the 0392? The 0392 is a factory custom collaboration with Rick Hinderer and Zero Tolerance Knives. A factory custom from Zero Tolerance incorporates some hardware and other elements straight off of a custom knife, and they put it right into a production model. So the 0392 series is based off the Rick Hinderer Eclipse model, Eclipse with a K. Surprisingly, it's not based off the XM18 series, but they have a series of knives, you know, the 0560 line, the 0562, that are remarkably similar to an XM18, so they probably didn't want to do that with this series. Instead, they followed the Eclipse, which I think was a good move because I think I like this handle a little bit better in terms of ergonomics over the XM18 handles. What makes these knives so special is that the hardware is actually supplied from Rick Hinderer himself. So Zero Tolerance manufactures these handle scales, likely using the same design template that Rick Hinderer has, probably the same CAD software and everything, or programming. And but Rick Hinderer produces the screws, the clip, the pivot and pivot screw, the standoffs, and basically provided the inspiration. Oh yeah, and the filler tabs. So very cool. And then Zero Tolerance makes the handle, and then they make the blade. So by joining forces with these two companies, they have generated likely something that better than either of them would produce on their own. In my humble opinion, this is the finest knife that Zero Tolerance has ever produced. And it may very well be the nicest knife that Hinderer has ever produced. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, I have a real Rick Hinderer Fatty Wharncliffe on the way right now. You can look forward to a comparison with this knife with that one as well. But I think that comparing these two is really important to kind of understanding not only this series, but maybe the differences in the use of a Wharncliffe blade versus a sort of traditional drop point blade in terms of everyday carry use, at least in my applications. So let's do a quick overview of each one of these knives and talk about the different components. So with the BRN GLD, you get that harpoon swedge drop point blade done in CTS 204P. Both of these knives are done in CTS 204P. It's got the brown finish stonewash on the flats and on the top of the blade. So it provides actually a really neat effect where the swedge is actually satin finished, but the brown extends all the way out to the tip. And it's really kind of cool looking, especially when the knife is closed. It really provides it with a nice, sleek look in that regard. And then when you open it up, it reveals that beautiful satin finish. Now I've put a custom edge on this, 17 degrees per side on the Wicked Edge system, thanks to my good friend Arpo Dio. This thing slices like a dream. It is the sharpest knife I have in my collection by far, and it absolutely tears and destroys everything in its path. I don't mean to use the word tear like it's a dull knife. I mean to say that it just slices through anything. I love the gold hardware. I will say that for those of us who are a little bit more OCD, that they might find some issues with the fact that the filler tab and the clip are a slightly different color than the actual screws, standoff, and pivot. I'm okay with that though. I kind of get that they're two different sort of types or thicknesses of titanium, and it's okay for me. It provides a little contrast, a little bit something different. I really enjoy the pocket clip that's the same on both of these knives. Even though I'm used to and usually like having a deep carry clip, the traction on this is really nice to get out of the pocket. Now I have added the brass over travel stop to this knife. I think that was really nice to add to this blade. I think that the standard steel over travel stop disc was just lacking in terms of this very beautiful and very colorful knife. I think that the brass really kicks it up a notch in terms of the overall presentation and everything, and it flows really well with the design of the knife. The handle is very, very, very ergonomic. It fits my hand like a glove. It's like it was designed for my hand, so my fingers fit beautifully in all of the different spaces. It's just long enough that it just sits right in the swell of my hand right there, and my thumb rests beautifully on that thumb ramp on the blade. ZT did their own grind on this knife. Like I said, maybe I mentioned before, the Eclipse comes with sort of an awkward tanto shape. ZT does their own blade here, and this is prettier than most ZT blades have ever been, and it's certainly more attractive than the tanto, at least in my opinion, that comes on the standard Eclipse. Phenomenally well done knife right there. To me, this is the finest knife in the line thus far. They continue to produce different variants of the 0392. So there was a stonewashed gray titanium. There was a black and bronze titanium. There was this one in brown and gold. There was one in black and green. And there was this one done in the gray Type 2 hard anodized finish on the handle with the black hardware and the copper filler tab. So this is the Wharncliffe edition. So this is truly a departure from the Eclipse model, but it incorporates another Hinderer design cue in that this is a Hinderer style Wharncliffe blade. Rick Hinderer has a very unique Wharncliffe style with this incredibly aggressive tip that comes to a very fine point, rather than sort of a straight drop-off or a more acute angle. It's a very obtuse angle going on up there, but they've still managed to incorporate that cool little swedge that ZT does so well. So in terms of the components on this knife, we have that blade that we've talked about. It's got a black DLC finish that has been lightly stonewashed, also done in CTS 204P. Nice satin finish there. This kind of reminds me, if you look at it in the right way, like a whale, the teeth on a whale. I forget what that word is called right now. Maybe someone can fill that in for me. Maybe I'll add it in In any case, you know what I'm talking about. Um, the blade is a nice shape, but I will give this knife its one major detraction, and the reason that I prefer the BRN GLD to this knife, and that is the blade shape. While this knife is visually maybe more striking than that knife, you know, this is really aggressive. You know, I mentioned, I feel like this knife could be like Batman's knife. You know, this blade finish, the handle finish reminds me of the matte gray Aventador that he drove in the Dark Knight. Just a really cool look on this knife. I really, really like it. But the what I was saying is that the Wharncliffe shape here comes to such a fine point. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus on this blade close up. Probably not, given what's going on in the background there. But really a super, super, super fine tip on this. And I was always worried that whenever I was going to go to cut something that I was going to break the tip. Probably not, given the strength of the 204P steel and the toughness. But it was something that was limiting me from actually using it when I wanted to use a knife. So I have sold this to someone who is absolutely and deeply thankful for being able to purchase this. He's not really able to get access to these factory custom ZTs where he lives, and he is thankful that I'm able to sell this to him. So funds are going back into the account so that we can keep this channel alive, and it has evolved now into getting an actual Hinderer Wharncliffe fatty. You know, I feel like the thicker blade stock on that might give me more confidence in the tip. We'll see what I think about it, and I will try to compare this knife to that one. In terms of the sharpness, both of them are very sharp. This one is much sharper now, given that wicked edge, but this one functions just fine. It slices really nicely. It performs EDC tasks really well, opening packages, opening letters, cutting through materials really well. It's got another reason that I couldn't really utilize this quite as much as I wanted to is a safety factor. Now, as my name suggests, I am a doctor, and sometimes I use my knives during the course of my day at work. And this one doesn't really have the same kind of safety in terms of cutting near somebody's skin, maybe, than this one. This one has sort of that gradual slope of the blade, and this one is a very, very acute and sharp tip. So I feel not quite as comfortable using this near anyone. And I don't really feel comfortable busting this out in front of anyone at work because it looks so aggressive. So a few reasons why this one is not staying in the collection right now. But let's go back to the handle and talk about this. This one has some interesting features that the other one doesn't. This one has a Type 2 hard anodized finish, and I found that really cool. I'd never heard that there were different types of anodization for titanium, and so I learned a little bit about materials science, which is something that I geek out on all the time when I got this knife. So studying that, I learned that actually Type 2 hard anodization is something that's commonly seen in medical applications. For those of you in my field, you might understand that pedicle screws are often used or often created and anodized in a Type 2 fashion, and lots of other titanium hardware that's used in the medical field is finished this way. It provides a lot of strength and a durable finish. It's got the black hardware, courtesy of Rick Hinderer. Gives it a very stealthy look, a very uniform look. It looks nice with the black finish on the blade. It came with the stainless steel, so both of these guys came with the stainless steel over travel stop disc. And I thought that both of these knives could be helped by having a little bit more color going on there. So I got the brass here and I got the copper here. So especially on this knife, where it comes with the Rick Hinderer with the steel flame copper filler tab right here, I think that having a little copper hint on this side was really necessary. And that really makes it special to me. I haven't seen another one in this configuration, although I imagine that I'm not the only one that's had this idea. You know, definitely great minds think alike. These knives sold out in like 4 seconds. This one sold out in like 3 seconds. So I'm excited to see what keeps coming out of this series. So that's sort of a brief comparison of these two knives. I'm not sure if we really learned a whole lot today. Both of them are spectacular. I love the 0392 series. I am not tired of them producing more versions of this. I see some people online in the forums, on the videos saying, oh my gosh, another version of the 0392. But guys, that's a good thing. That is a really good thing, because some people who end up getting a 0392 are going to be content and they don't want any more. But some people didn't get one and they really want it, and they have the funds and they have the means, and they will end up getting one at some point. So a little word to the wise. I heard a little rumor, not so much a rumor, it's actually a fact, that Zero Tolerance plans to release another Wharncliffe version next week. It's going to have a black handle and purple anodized hardware. It looks sick, and if my bank account allows me, I might try to get in on that as well. I'm not sure of the method by which they are going to sell them, so that's actually another discussion point I wanted to have about these knives. The Zero Tolerance limited edition / factory customs, they always kind of come out and are sold in a unique way, and each time it's kind of different, so it keeps people on their toes. This one was actually sold on the Zero Tolerance website. This was the first time I had heard about a 0392. They advertised this one on their social media pages. I was lucky enough to get this on their website, even though that thing basically chugged and ground to a halt when that happened. So after that, they went back to the model of selling these knives at 4 or 5 different large distributors like Blade HQ, Going Gear, and a couple of other places. So I'm not sure how they're going to sell the new one, whether it's going to be at various places or on their site. Probably the model where they sell them at multiple different websites to sort of spread the love. So definitely look out for the new version of this. If you don't have a 0392 in your collection, if you have been thinking about getting one, I can 1,000,000% recommend that. This is the finest knife that I own. This is a very close second, and I'm thrilled to be able to share this with somebody else, open their eyes to the beauty of this line, and you know, I'm happy to share this video with you guys. If you enjoy the videos that I make, please click like or subscribe, tell your friends about it, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Frunkey, and there will definitely be more videos to come. Like I said, I've got a real Hinderer on the way. We will see a fun little comparison video there, and you know, keep tuning in, guys. Tell me what you think. What do you think of these knives? Are you tired of the 0392 line? Do you want them to do something else? What kind of finish would you like to see on a 0392? That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Frunkey saying take care.